Hello and welcome to part 1 of Doodlebuild's Piano Upcycle series. This first video will cover the process of disassembling an upright piano, with the goal of preserving as many parts of the piano as possible for future projects such as a dresser or coffee table. Now before I get a bunch of flack for wrecking a 120-year-old instrument, here's a picture of my piano's pin block. The pin block holds the tuning pins for each string, 1, 2, or 3 strings per key on the piano. With the cracks in this pin block, the piano was unable to be tuned and sounded like a 5-year-old playing a recorder for the first time. If you're still offended by me taking apart a piano, feel free to watch the video in reverse. Getting right into it, the majority of the piano's front either slides or pops out or has a couple of slot head screws. The pianos are engineered this way to provide easy access for repairs and tuning. Even the piano keys and action are removed tool-free. Once the front pieces of the case, the keys, action, and key bed have been removed, you get to the fun part. And by fun part, I mean the part that's slightly maddening, not to mention quite dangerous. Removing the tuning pins, all 230 of them, should be done with caution as the combined tension of the piano's strings is around 18 tons of tension. Because each string is held so tight across the harp, simply cutting the string is not an option. Therefore, each tuning pin must be removed individually. And yes, this step is necessary if you want to remove the harp, because the pins go all the way through to the soundboard. Another hitch to this step of the process is that these tuning pins have a square head, which is compatible with a tuning hammer, but difficult to find a proper drill bit for. I ended up finding knurl bits from Husky. They're just like a typical socket bit, but have more teeth and can easily grab onto a square-shaped object. The knurl bit unfortunately didn't work flawlessly, and some locking pliers were needed as well. Once the tuning pins were loosened and removed, the strings could be removed as well. After all pins and strings are free from the harp, you're ready to remove the harp. There's a couple of screws from the backside of the piano you should free, but then it can be laid on its back. Do not try to do this by yourself. The piano still weighs several hundred pounds at this point and should be team lifted. To free the harp, there are maybe about 20 to 30 screws, and the top portion around the pin block is glued, but can be pried off easily. For my purposes, I didn't care to keep the harp intact and used an angle grinder to cut the cast iron into 5 to 6 smaller pieces, making it more manageable to pick up and move. I did keep the decorative gold painted half, but ended up taking the rest to a metal recycler. With the harp removed, all that's left is the soundboard and the back half of the casing. This bit ended up being a bit more frustrating than anticipated due to no hardware being used and all parts not only glued, but joined like a puzzle. Getting it apart took every saw I own, as well as several sledgehammer blasts. However, I was thrilled to nearly max out the capacity of my new miter saw. All in all, I had a great time taking this upright apart. I had always wanted the chance to work on a piano, and this definitely satisfied that craving. Maybe next time though, I'll be assembling instead of disassembling. At least for now, the next thing on my to-do list is to use up this new material. I'm hoping to reuse the hardwood for some furniture or potentially wall art. Whatever I end up doing, it'll be featured right here. Stay tuned.